Welcome back to the update. I'm Tiffany,
I'm Daniel.
and today we are covering events around the world, focusing on what occurred in Ukraine and Russia over the weekend, along with what a coup is and why they happened. We'll also be talking about UNICEF, the events on this day in history, and then we will move to all things Arizona. So stay tuned, the update begins soon. Thank you again for being with us here today. You love it, I love it, we all love it. It's time for What's the Haps with the Maps. These are the highlights you need to know from the weekend about the war over in Ukraine. Now, Ukrainian troops have successfully recovered the area of Lyman in the Donetsk region, with Russian troops announcing their retreat. Now, this was a huge blow to Russia, who announced the annexation of 4 regions of eastern Ukraine on Friday. Now, there have been suggestions of using low-yield nuclear weapons on Russia's side due to the loss. However, no use of any nuclear capacity has been done just yet. Hopefully not at all. They have, however, used suicide drones to attack. I didn't even know that there was such a thing. And one is said to have attacked the hometown of President Zelensky, destroying 2 stories of a school. Now, leaders all around the world are calling on both sides to find an agreeable peace, and many are refusing to acknowledge the legality of the attempted annexation. Tensions are definitely at an all-time high, and we're waiting to hear more about Ukraine's bid to join NATO, which at one time in the beginning was open for discussion, but after these latest events has been completely taken off the table with Ukraine's application to join NATO. And while we are talking about Ukraine, there are countries, banks, businesses, and even the private sector that have provided monetary aid to Ukraine. So out of curiosity, we researched where each country stands, and according to devex.com, here's a breakdown of what's going on so far. The European Union announced 2 packages, one worth $353 million and the other totaling $535 million, along with another round of $600 million or so plus so far. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development approved a $2 billion loan. The United Kingdom has committed around $4 billion in humanitarian, economic, and military aid. Now, Germany has not been a country to provide a ton of arms, however, they have donated a $1 billion grant to Ukraine. Now, the World Bank and the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, which we just discussed last week, have announced packages totaling over $5 billion in aid so far. And the private sector, including companies like IKEA Foundation, Adidas, Cisco, even some actors and actresses, and tech giants like Google and Meta, have contributed to make a combined total of $250 million. Now that brings us to the U.S. How much money have we committed so far? Now, in the beginning of the year, in March, Congress approved its first $13.6 billion Ukraine supplemental aid package. And lawmakers again tripled that funding in May with a $40 billion package of military, economic, and food aid for Ukraine and U.S. allies, which the White House says was designated to last through September. And now there is a third supplemental package, which brings the total amount of aid to Ukraine that Congress has allocated so far this year to more than $65 billion. That's right, that's 13 times more than the World Bank. So you tell us, should we continue sending aid? Tell us your answers by hashtagging your social medias on tell us your answers on your social medias, and make sure you hashtag HYFN TV. Now Daniel has the next report for you.
Thanks, Tiff. Now we're going to take some time to talk about coups, what they are, where they occur most, and why. According to the good old Merriam-Webster dictionary, which we don't really have to use anymore because we could just Google anything, and coup is a sudden, decisive exercise of force in politics, and especially the violent overthrow or alteration of an existing government by a small group, coup d'etat. Out of 54 countries on the African continent, 45 of them have had at least one coup attempt. By 2012, there had been over 200 coups and attempted coups in Africa. There was a coup attempt almost every 55 days in the 1960s and 1970s. And over 90% of the states have had a coup experience. Narrowing the focus to only those countries that have experienced a successful takeover, one in which perpetrators hold power for at least 7 days, that number drops to 36, which is still pretty high. That's 2/3 of the nation. The 2/3 of the nations on the continent. The African Union Peace and Security Council said in 2014 that unconstitutional changes of government often originate from deficiencies in governance, along with greed, selfishness, mismanagement of diversity, mismanagement of opportunity, marginalization, abuse of human rights, refusal to accept electoral defeat, manipulation of constitution, as well as unconstitutional review of the Constitution to serve narrow interests and corruption. Now, countries that are poorer and whose democracies are less stable have historically been more prone to takeovers. 15 of the total 20 countries topping the 2021 Fragile States Index created by the Fund for Peace are in Africa. Of those, 12 have had at least one successful coup in their history. Coups in Africa have been declining for much of the past 2 decades, but in the 10 years before 2021, there had been on average less than one successful coup per year, according to the U.S. researchers Jonathan Powell and Clayton Thine at the University of Central Florida and University of Kentucky, respectively, who consolidated their findings as their Arrested Dictatorship website. Now, the latest power grabs in Africa have raised concerns that the region could be backsliding from its progress toward greater democracy. The African continent saw a significant increase in coups in the last year and a half, with military figures carrying out takeovers in Burkina Faso, Sudan, Guinea, Chad, and Mali. After Sudan's coup in October 2021, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke of an epidemic of coups, including the events in Africa and February 2021 coup in Myanmar. In Myanmar, actually, I think is pronounced. I don't know, I could be wrong, but you could double check that if you need. Described an environment in which some military leaders feel they have total impunity and can do whatever they want because nothing will happen to them. West Africa's latest successful coup in Burkina Faso on the 24th of January 2022 has renewed unease about coups returning and democracies dying in Africa. Now compare that to the US. When was the last time that a coup occurred? Like, that's crazy. It's really different times that we have in these different countries. Now, we have been hearing on the news about the sort of coup or insurrection as it's being called from January 6, 2020. You tell us on this one too. What do you think? Hashtag HYFN TV and let us know. Now we go back to Tiff.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll be talking about UNICEF and what happened on this day in history. Welcome back to the update on the HYFN TV network. We're bringing it back with more world organizations, and today Daniel is talking about UNICEF.
Alright, so what is UNICEF? It's the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, or as it's more commonly known, UNICEF, right? According to their site, UNICEF has just one mission: to relentlessly pursue a more equitable world for every child. And also according to their website, UNICEFUSA.org, they won't stop until every child is healthy, educated, protected, and respected. So what are they currently doing? Well, UNICEF works in over 190 countries and territories, delivering impact for children through programs in child protection, saving and protecting children in conflict, preventing violence against children, ending child trafficking, and protecting children from the impacts of climate change. Also, child survival. That's talking about immunizations. Oof, that's a tough one. Disease outbreak response, nutrition and water, sanitation and hygiene. Also, education. That's supporting students in schools. They're also focusing on emergency relief, protecting the rights of child refugees and migrants, addressing food crisis, meeting the urgent needs of those affected by extreme weather and other disasters. Also, there's a focus on gender equality and empowerment and inclusion. This is including advocating for children with disabilities. Also, innovation, accelerating efforts to develop, deploy, and scale innovative solutions in humanitarian work. Now, another way UNICEF USA achieves impact is through advocacy, education, and fundraising in the United States. For example, UNICEF USA's Impact Fund for Children provides opportunities for social impact investors seeking to make a difference in the survival and development of children. UNICEF USA's advocacy team, based in Washington, D.C., speaks up on behalf of the world's children, urging decision makers in government and other sectors to implement policies and budgets that support and empower them. UNICEF USA Child Friendly Cities Initiative provides a framework to help local government officials prioritize the needs of young people and to elevate their voices in local governance. Now, if you're interested in supporting the cause, and you should be, why would you not be interested in supporting the children? That's the future generation right there. Here's a couple ways that you can do that. Supporters can contribute to UNICEF programs by shopping online for unusual handcrafted goods at the UNICEF market, or by sending life-saving supplies to kids in need with the UNICEF inspired gift. Visit the UNICEF USA Action Center to join active advocacy programs and campaigns. When you speak up for the children, legislators will listen. Now, that's an amazing organization with a ton of work ahead of them. If you want more info or to join in on their cause, visit their website, unicefusa.org, UNICEFUSA.org. Now we go back to you, Tiff.
Thank you, Daniel. What an awesome program. Now we're going to shift a little bit and we're going to talk about this day in history. So first up, we start off with a cool story. We're going to take a minute to break down this day for you as according to history.com. And this on October 3rd in 1863, President Lincoln proclaimed the official Thanksgiving holiday. At least he was the reader of the speech that proclaimed the holiday. The speech was actually written by Secretary of State William Seward, and it declared the fourth Thursday of every November thereafter it would be considered an official U.S. holiday of Thanksgiving. Now you may be thinking, wait, didn't George Washington talk about Thanksgiving? And you'd be right. In 1789, George Washington did call for an official celebratory day of public thanksgiving and prayer. And while Congress overwhelmingly agreed to Washington's suggestion, the holiday did not yet become an annual event. Now, a little bit of history. Moving on to the third president, Thomas Jefferson, he felt that public demonstrations of piety or religious events to a higher power, like that celebrated at Thanksgiving, were inappropriate, as the U.S. was supposed to be a nation based in part on the separation of church and state. And he wasn't alone in his beliefs. Subsequent presidents agreed with him, and in fact, no official Thanksgiving proclamation was issued by any president between 1815 and the day Lincoln thanked the Union Army and God for a shift in the country's fortunes on this day. Interestingly enough, the fourth Thursday of November remained the annual day of Thanksgiving from 1863 until 1939. Then, at the tail end of the Depression, President Roosevelt, hoping to boost the economy by providing shoppers and merchants a few extra days to conduct business between that Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, moved Thanksgiving to November's third Thursday. But in 1941, Roosevelt did bow to Congress' insistence that the fourth Thursday of November be reset permanently without any alteration as the official Thanksgiving holiday. That's quite a ride for a now very common day that we celebrate and get to celebrate with all of our family. Hope you learned a few interesting facts, and now Daniel has the other event for this day in history.
Alright, so how do we follow that up? Well, we have just a story for you. Probably shouldn't be a highlight, but it was huge news. It did make history, and hopefully lessons were learned by many people in this case. In 1995, O.J. Simpson was acquitted. This was a case that had the nation glued to their TVs watching the now infamous car chase between O.J. Simpson in his white Bronco and the police. At the end of a sensational 252-day trial, former football star O.J. Simpson was acquitted of the brutal 1994 double murder of his estranged wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman. Evidence suggesting his involvement included the now famous leather glove, which prompted the "if the glove don't fit, you must acquit" tagline. But that's pretty funny. Even though blood found on the glove was shown to have come from Simpson and the two victims, DNA tests from blood found at the scene and a bloody shoe print belonging to Simpson proved that he was there. Nicole Brown Simpson's blood was also discovered on a pair of socks found at his estate. Seems like they have the right guy, right? All the evidence is pointing right to him. Well, the prosecution thought the evidence was systematically called into doubt by Simpson's team of attorneys, who made the case that their client was framed by unscrupulous and racist police officers. Citing the questionable character of Detective Mark Furman and alleged blunders in the police investigation, the jurors' reasonable doubt grew when the defense spent weeks attacking the damning DNA evidence, arguing in overly technical terms that delays and other anomalies were anomalies in the gathering of evidence called the findings into question. The jury took just 4 hours of deliberation to reach the verdict of not guilty on both murder charges, and it's estimated around 140 million Americans listened in on the radio or watched on TV as the verdict was being delivered. Do your research on this case, read all the facts, and then you decide. Do you think the justice system worked? Tell us your answer, hashtagging HYFN and let us know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let us know what you think on this one. Now stay tuned as we throw it back to Tiff.
Thank you, Daniel. Stay tuned with us. Next up, we're going to have all of the news on Elon Musk's new Cybertruck And then we will have the details in our constitutional corner, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Now, there is constant change in the world, and it is no different for the automotive industry. Each company is trying to create the next biggest and baddest vehicle. Daniel has your report on what's up next.
Alright, so Elon Musk's floating Cybertruck tweet torpedoed by government agencies. Back in November 2019, you guys remember, the Tesla Cybertruck made its debut announcement. According to Tesla's site, it entered a new class of strength, speed, and versatility, only possible with an all-electric design. The powerful drivetrain and low center of gravity provides extraordinary traction, control, and torque, enabling acceleration from 0 to 60 miles per hour in as little as 2.9 seconds. And it can go up to 500 miles of range. With up to 3,500 pounds of payload capacity and adjustable air suspension, Cybertruck is the most powerful tool that Tesla has ever built, engineered with 100 cubic feet of exterior lockable storage, including a magic ton cover that is strong enough to stand on. It has space for your toolbox, tire, and cyber quad with room to spare. That's right, a cyber quad. It's basically like a Razor, only made by Tesla, and it fits perfectly inside the Cybertruck. Now, This has the ability to pull near infinite mass with a towing capability of over 14,000 pounds. Now, when are you ever going to need to pull 14,000 pounds? Man, that's crazy. The Cybertruck can literally perform in almost any extreme situation with ease. You can seat 6 comfortably with additional storage under the second row seats, and complete with an advanced 17-inch touchscreen with an all-new customized user interface. From rugged to refined, Cybertruck is a completely adaptable for your needs. It also has ultra-strong glass and polymer. Oh man, English is hard. Polymer layered composite. This is basically just saying that it's bulletproof. I should have just said that to begin with. Right? The Cybertruck is built with an exterior shell made for ultimate durability and passenger protection. Starting with a nearly impenetrable exoskeleton, every component is designed for superior strength and endurance, from ultra-hard 30 time cold rolled stainless steel. Man, that exoskeleton's crazy. You're definitely not gonna get damaged at all driving inside one of these. It's like just an armored truck at that point. But get this, Musk just announced it's possible for the vehicle to become a boat. So now you don't even gotta stay on land. So you can sign me up for sure. I'll be driving around the ocean. Now we go back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That does sound like a pretty epic vehicle. I mean, I've seen the Tesla SUVs, definitely want to drive one. And now basically you're saying we can have our own Batmobile. So that's kind of amazing. So let's switch gears completely, then head over to our constitutional corner. Alright students, you may remember our constitutional corner last year, and it is back with the passion, and Daniel and I are here, and we are going to recap because, let's be honest, summer happened and who knows what you remember. So to start off, we have the Constitution. That's right, you heard it here, and probably throughout your life. The Constitution of the United States of America is the fundamental law of the U.S. federal system of government, and a landmark document of the Western world. It is also the oldest written national constitution in use and defines the principal organs of government and their jurisdictions, along with the basic rights of citizens. Now there are 27 amendments in total, and the first 10 are what we will recap today. They are also known as the Bill of Rights and relate to personal and individual protections. First, we're going to tell you how the actual amendment reads, and then we'll put it in simpler terms that the everyday person can understand. So here we go. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So what that is simply saying is that the First Amendment provides several rights of protections to express ideas through speech and the press, to assemble or gather with a group, or to protest or for other reasons, and to ask the government to fix problems. It also protects the right to religious beliefs and practices, and prevents the government from creating or favoring a religion. Now the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What that means is we have the right to keep and bear arms, weapons, guns. You've probably heard arguments on both sides, pro-guns, anti-guns. This is the amendment they are referring to. Now on to the third. It states, no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. And what that is telling you is that the government cannot force homeowners nowadays to allow soldiers to use their homes. Back in the day before the Revolutionary War, laws did give the British soldiers the right to take over private homes. I mean, could you imagine? You just wake up in the middle of the night and there's a soldier there saying, hey, gotta get out, we're here to take over. Good thing we live in America. Others aren't so fortunate around the world. Daniel has your next amendments.
All right, next up is the Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. This means the government is banned from unreasonable search and seizure of an individual or their private property. Now on to the Fifth Amendment. It reads, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces, or in the militia, where in actual service or in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be put twice in jeopardy of life or limb. Nor shall they be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor the deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Now this protects people being accused of crimes. It states that serious criminal charges must be started by a grand jury. A person cannot be tried twice for the same offense or have property taken away without just compensation. People have the right against self-incrimination and cannot be imprisoned without due process of law. Now, kind of coinciding with the Fifth Amendment, the sixth one reads, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with a witness against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. This provides additional protections to people accused of crimes, such as the right to a speedy and public trial by impartial judge in criminal cases, and to be informed of criminal charges. Witnesses must face the accused, and the accused is allowed his or her own witnesses and to be represented by a lawyer. On to the Seventh Amendment. This one reads, in suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. What this does is extends the right to a jury trial in federal civil cases. Now we go back to Tiff for the rest.
Definitely a mouthful so far. Moving on, the Eighth Amendment states, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. And what it means is exactly what it says for once. Excessive bail and fines and cruel and unusual punishment are not allowed. Now to the Ninth Amendment. It is stating the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And what that means is listing specific rights in the Constitution does not mean that people do not have other rights that have not been spelled out. And finally, we have the 10th Amendment rounding out the Bill of Rights. This one states, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. And what that is simply saying is the federal government only has those powers delegated to it in the Constitution. If it isn't listed, it belongs to the states or to the people. This is important so our government can't just enact random laws for their benefit. Again, unlike many other countries to date. And this is why we are thankful we live in the United States. The liberties we get to enjoy should be realized and appreciated. Now don't go anywhere. When we come back, we will shift our focus to Arizona.
Well, it sure has been heavy on the world and national level today. So keeping it much, much lighter, we're going to focus on Arizona license plates. You've probably seen them all around the valley, ranging from the normal Arizona plate with the scenic view of mountains and a cactus. And if you've lived here long enough, you may remember the more maroon plate with the white letters. Arizona Cardinals plate has been popping up everywhere, especially now that they're doing really good. And also you can find some for teachers and in support of abused children. Now in 2021, the MVD unveiled 15 additional plates. Did you know these specialty plates are all for a good cause, and some funds actually go directly to charity? In fact, each plate costs $25 and $25, and 17 of those dollars will go to the charities. I wasn't aware of how this all worked, so we're gonna let you know so you can go and pick one of these out, donate a little bit to charity. Now, from the new ones to highlight from 2021, we got the Arizona Rodeo. This specialty plate is available to anyone, and $17 will go to promote, educate, and preserve the history of rodeos in Arizona. Dave Alford, general manager of Rodeo Scottsdale, pointed out that the two oldest rodeos in the world, Payson's world's oldest continuous rodeo and Prescott's world's oldest rodeo, are in Arizona. Now, I'm kind of wondering which of those is actually the oldest one. I'd like to find out. But moving forward, rodeos in Scottsdale, Tucson, and Yuma have occurred for nearly a combined 250 years. Now on to the next plate, we have the Make-A-Wish Arizona. This specialty plate is available to anyone, and the donation will go towards creating life-changing wishes for Arizona children dealing with critical illnesses. The next one is the Veterans of Foreign Wars. This specialty plate is available, and the $17 from each plate will go to the Veterans of Foreign Wars Department of Arizona Service Officers Benefit. The Veterans of Foreign Wars Auxiliary Arizona is the next plate. So there were a couple for the veterans on this one. This specialty plate is available to anyone, and $17 will go to provide fraternal, patriotic, historical, charitable, and educational support to veterans and military members and their families in Arizona communities. And we know they need it. They supported the country, they went and served, so I think we could give a little back. Now, the Arizona Department of Veterans Services is the sponsor of 11 new specialty license plates. 11 for you to choose from. Some are available for veterans or the immediate family members of the veterans of someone who has been issued a veteran specialty plate. Now, the donation from these ones will go to the Veterans Donation Fund, which funds programs that benefit veterans and their families throughout Arizona. Some other specialty plates already in circulation are the Child Abuse Prevention, which will fund child abuse prevention programs all around Arizona. We also have the Navajo Nation, which funds the Navajo Nation Department of Highway Safety for traffic control devices. Then there are others for the sports teams of Arizona, which generally donate towards children's funds. It's awesome to know a large portion of the proceeds go directly towards a cause impacting the lives of these people. Now, fun fact, the specialty plates have collectively raised over $8 million in just 1 year for nonprofits. Another fun fact, in 2021, for the first time, 3 Arizona specialty license plates each generated more than $1 million in annual revenue. Now, those plates were the specialty plates for veterans, the first responders, and the Arizona Cardinals. In 2021, specialty plates generated $10.7 million in revenue, helping charities throughout. Now, this is a great time to end the show. We hope that we kept you entertained, and even more importantly, we hope that you learned a little something today. But our time is up. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Tiff. And for this and other shows on our network, catch us on your phone at HYFNTV.com, or make sure you download our channel on Roku, HYFN TV. We hope you all have a great week.